Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan. Today I'm excited because I get to try a couple of things I've legitimately never had before, and they sound interesting. Big shout out to Craig for sending these in, because I don't know if you remember in a recent video I was like, hey, if you've got stuff from obscure craft distilleries that I've never tried and I've never covered, feel free to send it in, because I love trying to find, these hidden gems out there. And, over the years, I've found several that are from small craft distilleries, and I'm like, I love this stuff. I don't see anybody ever talk about it. I have to order it online because no stores even stock it, but it's always worth it. Think of like Rock Filter, for example, people like that. But anyways, today we've got two whiskeys I don't think you've ever heard of. I would be surprised if you have. If you have, be like, nah, man, you're just living under a rock because everybody's heard of that. Just let me know. But anyways, we'll kick these off with Kyro, which is a rye whiskey. But here's what's cool about it. It's from Finland. But they're following like American standards, sort of, because most European whiskey, if the overwhelming majority of it at least, is usually it's like a first fill or something like that, where they take a used barrel. And it's usually like a used bourbon barrel from America that they ship over there, and that's what they put their new make in, because they don't want all that oakiness, quote-unquote, ruining their malted whiskey. So what's going on here with Kyro, they're in Finland, but they are using new, charred American oak barrels. That's kind of cool, right? That's kind of cool. And the mash bill is 100% whole grain Finnish rye. Finnish, not finished as in like finished, but Finnish as in from Finland rye. That's pretty cool. Whole grain malted whole grain Finnish rye. There you go. That's all of it. Bit of a mouthful. But anyways, I'm excited to give this a shot. See what Finland's cooking up over there. I've had Kyro's, I want to say their gin before, and it was dynamite. I like a good gin cocktail. I'm a big fan of the Last Word cocktail. I make those at home. But anyways, Craig turned me on to Kyro's gin like a year ago. It was good stuff, but let's see what they're doing in their whiskey department. Ooh, it's like dripping with honey on the nose. It smells like a mix between like a mead and a rye whiskey on the nose. And it smells like it's mellowed out a little bit too. Once you get a rye whiskey to mellow out over the years, and it loses, not all of it, but it loses a lot of its like abrasive, bitey mintiness. That's kind of subsided here, and that's where it's lending to those, the sweet honey droplets, as well as like, I would say, like a yellow fruit or some kind, like a nectarine, something like that, kind of apricot-y. But that thick, oozy honey is the like dominant factor on the nose. Very appealing. Let's try it. Cheers. It really does kind of, for some reason, the palate really makes me think of like a double-oaked, mellowed-out rye. Like a rye that's had some time to age, but then it's been put in like a toasted barrel or something like that. Because I get that sweet, oozy, dripping honey right up front, tip of the tongue, very sweet, but then it's followed by this wave of oaky pepperiness. It's not like a rye spiciness that you would get off a younger rye. It's like black peppercorn and oak, and then it transitions into those like toasted oak and brown sugar notes towards the end. And it's like a sandwich of sweetness, where you get that honey sweetness at the beginning, and the other side of the sandwich is that brown sugary toasted oak sweetness. But in the middle is this nice peppery wave that gives you a nice little hug here. I should note the proof on this is 114 proof. So not bad at all. But the finish is all oak. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. That's pretty good. I like that. Now the retail price for this bottle, if you're going to order it online, I found tons of listings. Lots of different people are selling this online. And it's usually between $65 and $70. I think that's really fair for this product. I don't know what the age is on this, but it's, man, look, I should have noted this earlier. It is sticky. Now, I talk about that honey sweetness, but I don't know if you can see this on the glass there. You see that right up there at the top? It's just sticking to the glass all the way around, and now it's starting to run down the sides. Very thick and viscous. Anyways, if a double-oaked, mellowed-out rye sounds good to you, that's what this tastes like to me. And I've got no knocks. That's pretty yummy, especially at that price tag. I'm a big rye whiskey fan. I love a good, spicy, bold rye, but sometimes I like when it's a little bit more mellowed out too. But that's a hard recommend from me. You ever get a chance to try that, give it a shot. Congratulations, Kyro. That's a yummy Finnish malted rye right there. I almost don't want to move on to the next one because that toasted oak is just lingering for so long on the finish of that. It's a really pleasant note to just sit with for a while. And the more I sit with it, the more I got a little bit of like graham cracker and toasted marshmallow as well. That's real yummy. Okay, let's move on to the second one. This one is kind of interesting. This is coming from a group called the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. The bottles look kind of cool. It's got like, albeit it's difficult to understand the branding. It looks really cool, but it's got like this big S and then a big M and then a big W and then another S. And it's like, they're all kind of, you don't know what order they go in. So if you were just looking at the bottle and tried to Google something, you'd be like, I have no idea what I'm Googling here. But it's the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, but this is not a Scotch and it's not a malt whiskey. It's a bourbon. This is a high rye bourbon distilled in Indiana, probably MGP. 5 years old. It's 122.4 proof. And the name of this particular release was called A Welcome Distraction. So if you were to go to their website, you would just see tons of different bottles. And it looks like what they're doing is they're an NDP and they're just collecting whiskey from all over the world, not just the States, and taking the stuff they like and bottling it up and doing limited releases of these various batches that they find that they like. And I should note that the bottles are sort of like European style. They're the 700 milliliter, not 750. And the write-up on this bottle is fascinating because they say it gives, the palate gives them like Nordic impressions. And I'm like, how do you take like Norse culture and put it in a bourbon? I don't know. So I'll be interested to see if when I taste this, I think about Vikings and pillaging and the game Skyrim. This particular release, it was only 54 bottles. So that's kind of the quantity that you're looking at for some of their releases. Let's get in here though. I should note before we nose it and taste it though, the color. It's real dark. This great sort of mahogany and maybe even a little bit of like this cherry wood note as well, visually. Fairly viscous, not too surprising given the proof point. First thing I get on the nose is bright red cherries dipped in butterscotch. It really does on the nose. It makes me think of butterscotch pudding. You know, that thick butterscotch pudding we would get as kids in like snack packs. You know the ones. But also this bright red cherry note right in tandem with it. The more I sit here and nose it, the more I'm just, if I close my eyes and I sniff, what comes to mind is like chocolate chip cookie dough. Like the actual dough, you know what I'm saying? Or even chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. It's got a sort of creamy quality to it. But it's a very desserty kind of a nose that we got going on here. There's a solid oak presence, but it's just sort of accompanying all those other things. It's really desserty between the chocolate chip cookie dough and the butterscotch and that cherry note. Well, let's try it. Cheers. Man, where'd all that richness go? Up front, some ethanol, some barrel funk. The cherry and the butterscotch don't come until probably a good 5 to 6 seconds after I've swallowed and we're well into the finish. They sort of resurface. Let me try that again because I wasn't quite prepared for what I got initially on the palate. Yeah, the palate's just sort of thin to me. There's just not a lot going on there. You get the ethanol, you get the proof. Those nice butterscotch and cherry notes that we were getting on the nose that I really wanted more of. I was kind of hoping this would be a really thick, juicy, sweet, desserty pour. Those things come around way late in the finish. But beyond that, I'm finding myself fairly unimpressed with the palate itself. It's got a funkiness to it that makes me think of like a cognac or a distilled wine finished whiskey of some kind. Just a lingering funk. Well, either way, I'm happy to have tried it. I think of the two, for me, my clear preference is the Kyro finish malted rye. This is pretty freaking good. I would sit down with this anytime. I'd never be upset about having this pour. Feels like it has a good sense of identity. Nose and the palate that match up to one another. And the finish on this one is just killer. So I think with the Kyro, I may as well go ahead and give this thing a score per my scale. I think this is going to land at a solid 7.8 for me, right? Has a strong sense of identity, knows what it is, pretty affordable, pretty approachable in terms of the damage it's going to do to your wallet. But beyond that, I really like that finish. I think the finish is where it's getting a ton of points in my book. All around a very enjoyable sip, and I would not be upset at having that whiskey on my shelf. Thanks so much, Craig, for sending that in. I appreciate it, brother. That's going to be a hard recommend from me. Thanks so much for tuning into the video today, especially if you're one of our new subscribers to the channel. Welcome. Happy to have you here. I appreciate you. I uploaded a video just on just a discussion piece, which is isn't something I typically do. Most of our videos here are tastings, reviews, blinds, things of the sort. We do some conversational stuff. We do some whiskey history stuff as well, but those are few and far between. Anyways, that video for some reason was just talking about an article that dropped and it popped off, and I think the stat line was 98.5% of the views on that video were people who had never been to my channel before. That's pretty cool. Welcome if you're one of those people and you decided to watch another one of my videos. You're a glutton for punishment if you did, but I appreciate it nonetheless. If you enjoyed this video, would you let me know by leaving a like in the video, because that's the best free way to support the content right here on YouTube. And with that, I say cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.